I vividly remember being told two things in a contemporary art class the senior year of my BFA program. One, never smile next to your paintings and photographs. And two, don't ever be a sellout. And that was about the extent of my formal education on how to be a professional artist. That's not to say I didn't learn anything. The thing is, in art school, they teach you about technique, materiality, terminology, and history, so that by the time you graduate, you hopefully have a strong, cohesive practice and a solid body of work. What they don't teach you is what to do after you graduate, about the business of art. They teach you nothing about financial literacy, marketing vehicles, how to build a brand, or how to exist within the vast global ecosystem without legacy or patronage. I earned a BFA degree in painting, and it was suggested once during my undergraduate career that I take a class in business or in marketing, that I learn anything about web design or accounting or any of the tools necessary to turn my fine art practice into a money-generating enterprise. The starving artist stereotype exists for a reason and likely explains why it's so hard for people to imagine pursuing a career in the arts as a good idea, let alone a wise investment. And it's true that for most of us, the persona of an artist is in contrast to that of a business person. We love to create, to ideate, to inspire, not to sell. Which might also then account for the constant barrage of inquiry I received around, well, what do you make money? Or what are you going to do for real? Both when I was in school and on my path to becoming a professional artist. And even now that I've established myself as one, still occasionally dealing with comments like, oh, so your husband must have a real job, or my favorite, it's so nice the ubiquitous he lets you do this. Don't even get me started. For all of you who've decided to pursue your artistic passions, congratulations. As Henry Matisse once said, creativity takes courage. But honestly, I can't fathom anyone just deciding to pursue a career in the arts. When you're an artist, it's who you are, not just what you do. We are born with a gift and a voice that deserves to be shared with the world. But even in the state of economy today, where creativity, innovation, ingenuity, and art are valued more so than perhaps any other time in modern history, it's still not the most practical of paths because there's absolutely no prescription on how to make a living as one. That said, I believe it's never been a better time to be an artist. The rise of social media and digital globalism have paved the way for the independent artist to thrive. Long gone are the days when an artist needed a gallery or agent to sign or represent them. Though, lamentably, art school didn't prepare me how to pursue that traditional path either. Despite my substantial academic background and history as an artist, my talent and education are not what got me to where I am today. I have learned that in the business of art, you must forego all notions of appropriateness around what it means to be a successful artist. To thrive in the modern world, we must marry our creativity with practicality, because being an artist and making a living as one are not one and the same. If you want to be an artist and make a living from it, and also have creative freedom while doing so, what you're really signing up for is the life of an entrepreneur. I spent many years throwing darts at the wall to see what would stick, but when I really look back, there are a handful of things that truly impacted my ability to be a full-time, self-supporting entrepreneurial artist. I'm here today to share with you in hopes of helping encourage you to fulfill and find your own journey to being the successful, profitable artist that you are so deserving of being. The first is to think about the work that you create, as well as you as the artist of it, as a brand, one that is unique, identifiable, holistic, and representative of your future career goals. As artists, we are in the unique position of being our brand. I, before you today, am here as my brand image. When I attend events, when I'm in my gallery, or when I might be in any room, when I might have any opportunity to talk about my work or business, you'll almost always find me wearing all white, a wide brim hat, and 4-inch heels. White is a blank canvas. It makes a statement without being dramatic. It is timeless, optimistic, sophisticated, chic, but most importantly, in contrast to the stereotypical all-black tortured artist uniform. My work is soft, atmospheric, light-filled, and feminine, and so my brand and brand image should also be. Now, I also happen to be 6 feet tall, which is conspicuous enough as it is, but in my signature hat and 4-inch heels, I have built an entire persona. People begin to recognize me as the tall artist in the hat, because how many other 6'4" women in hats do you expect to find in most rooms? It's typically none in my experience. Jay-Z once famously rapped, "I'm not a businessman, I am a business man." And so we all should aim to be. It is much harder to get eyes on our work than it is on ourselves. So as much as possible, we need to be walking, branded representations of our craft and our business. So when thinking about building out your own brand identity, ask yourself the following questions. What does the work that you make look like, sound like, feel like? Where does it live? Who does it live with? Personify your creations as best you can. Art is self-expression by definition. So what similarities do you see between the work that you're creating and who you are as a human? Define your voice, your influence, and where you want to hold agency. Think about how you want to leverage your work in the creative marketplace. And if this feels daunting or abstract, put it out to your network. Ask your community, what are 3 words that you would use to describe me? What are 3 words that you would use to describe my craft or my talent? Think about where those things most obviously overlap. Now, this may take some time to develop, and it's definitely okay to work from the middle out, but it is so important to keep in mind when making any decisions about the future of your brand or your business. So I'm going to return to this a little later, but for now I want to move on to lesson number 2, which is diversifying your offering. And I want to preface by returning to that art school lesson about never being a sellout. I remember talking at length about Thomas Kinkade, the famous painter of light and granny cottages, whose work could be found on almost every mall in America. He was the quintessential artist sellout and his work the epitome of cringe. And while my aesthetic and brand don't necessarily align with his, I have to say that my take is that that model of the artist sellout is dead. Many of the historically relevant artists that we revere most today were poverty-stricken during their lifetime. Vermeer, Van Gogh, Monet, Rembrandt. Would you like to know Thomas Kinkade's net worth at the time of his death in 2012? $70 million. Sit on that for a minute. We are often taught that financial success can tarnish artistic integrity. But there is no reason that as artists, we shouldn't be making a decent living from the work that we're making while we're alive. And I, for one, am here to challenge that paradigm. I want to be clear that I'm absolutely not championing the idea of printing your work on kitschy porcelain plates to be sold in Sky Mall magazine. There is a vast difference between saying yes to opportunities to reproduce and create income from your work and abandoning your integrity as an artist for a paycheck. But if you can live out your passions, making work that you love and that has integrity, why would you not say yes to that life? There is nothing wrong with finding creative ways to monetize your work. You just have to be clear on your positioning and draw your own line in the sand. And remember that in the business of art and in your growth as an artist, there will always be an evolution and sometimes a need to pivot, and that's okay too. So, speaking of pivoting, I want to talk about musicians. Has anyone ever bought a t-shirt at a concert? Maybe a limited edition vinyl? Perhaps a Taylor Swift branded popcorn tub? No, there's some of you. Musicians make their music by album sales and live shows, but also by branded merchandise. Now, has anyone ever heard a favorite song in a commercial or in a movie? Perhaps seeing a rock star as a brand ambassador for something completely unrelated to music. Keep doing that, sorry. Justin Timberlake is an iPhone spokesperson. Dua Lipa is the face of YSL Beauty. These are business-savvy artists who have expanded their horizons outside of their zone of influence. They have diversified their offering. To be fair, these celebrity musicians are able to leverage their fame to land these partnerships, but do we think less of their music when they do? No. But God forbid an artist reproduce his or her own work or align with a consumer brand. Blasphemy. You are immediately shunned by the high art bureaucracy that is the contemporary art world. I envision a world where artists can make meaningful, profound work and still pay for health insurance in preschool. And in my experience, that can be most readily achieved by a diversity of offerings. So, when thinking about diversifying your offering, think about the breadth and the expanse of it. But I must note how crucial it is that you have already established a defined brand identity before spreading your wings in this way. But once you do, make it a goal for your work to exist in as many places as possible. And the goal is to not just diversify your physical offering, but the where, on what, and to whom. Take your work from canvas to product, from product to experience. Let it live on walls, in screens, on homes, in public places, wherever your imagination can take it. Again, think about the expanse of your work and how you can leverage it broadly. As a good student, I started out with a sole focus on my fine art and gallery work. Then I began diversifying. When I opened up my gallery, I created prints, stationery, and home decor products. I landed a couple of licensing partnerships. I create custom services for people in hospitality, real estate, interior design. I host painting workshops. I create custom event and brand activations, and I've become quite the prolific muralist. I even created a sub-brand with my floral partner at the gallery. I have fully diversified my where, on what, and to whom. So despite the many arms and breadth of my offering, I have said no to dozens of partnerships and product opportunities. Early in my career, an art consultant reached out about a potential partnership with a new boutique hotel that was part of an international hotel chain. I don't want to name names, but it was Marriott. They had selected one of my works that they wanted to reproduce to live in every one of the hotel's guest suites. What a dream! Until I found out how much they wanted to compensate me. $5 a print. That meant that they were going to outfit their entire 200-room boutique hotel with my artwork for $1,000? Absolutely not. I told them to go to IKEA. True story. Now, was this opportunity on brand? It sure was, but it didn't align with my values, and I wanted to play no role in propagating the starving artist narrative by accepting less than my work was worth. The thing is, no one would have known how much I was paid. It would have given me a great bump on my resume and some pretty awesome bragging rights, but it didn't feel right. I couldn't sell my work to this corporate giant for $5 and then turn around and sell it to my own customers for hundreds the next day. The point being that when making decisions about the future of your career, you have to always ask yourself, is this on brand? Does it align with my values and the direction I want to take my business? To grow in an authentic and scalable way, it is paramount that you maintain your principles and integrity, both personal and artistic, at all costs. Speaking of growth brings me to my third and final and perhaps the most important thing that I have learned, and that is that other people are the key to your success. The more rooms that you walk into, the more opportunities you'll create for yourself. One person in one room could change your career. Therefore, the more people that you know, or better yet, the more people who know you, the more likely you are to succeed. I got to where I am today by showing up. I am not exaggerating when I say that I spent 2 years before pursuing my art career full-time going to every single event, lecture, mastermind, reception, conference, networking mixer, you name it, I was there. And not just in my industry, in the peripheral ones as well. I showed up everywhere, and I introduced myself, and I talked about my work and my business and my goals, and you know what happened? People began to remember me. Why? They recognized the tall girl in the hat. Eventually, my entire business existed on referrals. Instead of searching for clients, they were coming to me. Other people are the key to your success. I was published in Business Insider because I casually and unknowingly sat down next to one of the reporters at lunch during a conference. One of my collectors is the mom of the best friend of a girl who I used to take Pilates classes with. You follow that? I have story after story of how one connection led to a launch pad of peripheral opportunity. This is still the foundation for my business today, but especially when starting out, it is priceless and the only system that I know to work. So as much as you can, work to cultivate collaboration and partnerships across industries, professionals, and networks. Form authentic relationships with people and keep in touch with them. Remember that everyone is your potential customer, partner, or advocate. Which brings me to part 2 of this lesson, and that is to call on your champions. Who are your hype people? Who are the hidden architects of your journey? Who are the people who continue to show up for you, to comment on your posts, to applaud your work, to shout out your name in a room? And I'm not just talking about your family or your friends. There will be people who show up for you who have no stake in the game. And instead of wondering why they care, I encourage you to lean into them. Recognize and appreciate and make use of their support. Be gracious and thankful for them because you never know how they may impact your journey. It has never been a better time to be an artist if you understand the value of community. If you are ready to be the face of your brand, and if you are ready to take on the model of the artist entrepreneur and ready to take on the business of art, but also the art of business. So, define your brand, then diversify your offering. Build your reputation and credibility in your industry over time. Grow your network and call on the people in it. Cultivate mentorships, partnerships, and community to guide and grow your career and continue to show up. But never abandon your integrity as an artist. Remember what makes you curious, what inspires you. Live in awe and wonder and authenticity as an artist should. And remember how you ended up on this path in the first place. We are artists because we are born artists. We pursue a creative path because it is our calling, not our prescription. And remember that there are no rules. Don't let anyone tell you there are rules. You can ignore every single thing that I've said today and find your way to immense success. And more power to you. As Charles Cooley said, an artist cannot fail. It is a success to be one. But success has many different faces, and you'll need to decide what it looks like for you. Art is who we are, and it's the way of the future. Thank you.